My friend Jessika, someone who believed in me before many others did. Over time, we became closer friends.
There was an organization who shared some data about most difficult countries to live. North Korea was at the top of that list. It really got me thinking about what it would mean for people to live there. Something that seems so different to us, like life in North Korea or escaping North Korea.
Today's guest is someone very special to me. As an Australian who chose to volunteer her time to teach North Korean defectors, her perspective is thoughtful, honest, and deeply meaningful. That's how we first met as a teacher and student, and over time we became closer friends. Please welcome my friend Jessika, someone who believed in me before many others did. Welcome, Jessika! Hey, hey! How are ya?
Yeah, good day.
Thank you for making time for this interview. We've known each other for almost 2 years.
Yeah, almost exactly 2 years, I reckon.
Time flies. I visit you in Jecheon and you came over in my place. Gosh, that all the memories are vivid in my heart, you know. So my first question is, what made you decide to volunteer to teach English to North Korean defectors in the first place?
It's a little bit of a longer story, but I'll try and be brief. I first started learning about more about North Korea when I became probably about 10 to 15 years ago now. And at that time, there was an organization who shared some data about the most difficult countries to live in. And North Korea was at the top of that list. And I actually checked again today, and it's still at the top of the list. And so it really got me thinking about what it would mean for people to live there. And since I was thinking about North Korea at the time, I just thought, wow, I better start praying for North Korea now. And so I have just a little calendar reminder in my calendar to pray for the week. And then couple of years ago, I moved to Korea, and it was the first opportunity I guess I had to actually do something to hopefully help out.
So it comes from the value of Christianity.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm sorry that I missed to ask about yours. What is your story, Jessika?
In Australia, I would say, my mom's Filipino and my dad's German. And then when I moved to Korea, I was saying, I'm Australian. So it was a weird.
I can relate to it with your story. When I went to Australia or maybe went to LA in California and then I lived there for a year. If I say I'm a Korean, everyone believes it. No one asks me where I'm from. But in South Korea, maybe at the first time when I came to South Korea, because my accent was different, my maybe style of the fashion was different. So I was asked the question, where are you from first? So I can relate it with your... I can relate it with you, definitely. But that kind of differences made us different.
For sure. Yeah.
That's why maybe you have different perspectives about life, and then you care about the, most of the reason you taught English to North Korean defectors maybe came from the value of Christianity, but in the other element that I can assume was from your background as well. Maybe in Australia you look different, so many Australians think where she's from, but actually you are Australian.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think I really enjoy from anywhere.
Yeah, me too. You volunteered and taught English to North Korean defectors. So I'm curious, what did you personally gain from volunteering?
Personally, I gained very dear 친구. Honestly, yeah, I feel like I gained more than I gave for sure. I don't know, we just really easily and friends really easily. I don't know if it was our age or maybe our personalities were out. So yeah, like you said before, you took me to your friend's place where we made North Korean sundae.
Yes!
We went camping with Lisa. Then we came to Jecheon and we stayed up and watched TV and made dumplings.
So many things. Do you remember we ate 평양냉면 not at the restaurant because there were a lot of the people, so we packed it and then we ate outside.
Yeah, that was the best.
That was the best memory ever,
Yeah.
actually. I would love to do it again with you. My next question, Jessie. How
Yeah.
did teaching someone who grew up in North Korea challenge or reshape your worldview?
I think it was kind of two things, and they're kind of the opposite. Like, one thing is kind of how something so impossible is actually like something that seems so different to us, like life in North Korea or escaping North Korea. It seems like story or like things so difficult to imagine when you just live in like everyday Australian life. So I think that kind of perspective and reality. But also on the other end, it's kind of like our North Korean friends, like same as us, and like the same universal experiences, like in your book, when you talk about like having a crush on a guy, not being able to concentrate in class, like just like we're all the same.
So good to hear that. Like there are also some parts are difficult to imagine, but at the same time, North Koreans are human beings as well. You've known me for a while. What growth have you witnessed in me from then until now?
I think you have like some strengths that enable you to like constantly grow. Like you are always like a go-getter. You're always working hard and determined and like you set your mind thing and you do it and you're able to like work through generations with a positive attitude. So I think this like leads to constant growth. But if I could narrow something down, I'd definitely say your book is something that I think you always wanted to do, but also I think you needed. It was a new and challenging experience and difficult at times. You know, English is not your first language, but I think you just stated your message so clearly and so beautifully, and also there was real. I think like brave is the word, like to share your story, real vulnerability, like share that with the world.
Even though you knew me personally, I wonder, was there something in my book, The Courage to Die, that surprised you or that you didn't know before?
It was kind of strange because usually you read it when you read like a book, you read a like autobiography, it's some like historical figure or someone that you would never know. But reading like a biography from my friend, there's some things where I was like, she was always so determined, like it makes sense, like things that I see in you now. But I think there's some things that wouldn't come up in a normal conversation, and I think I could try to understand more fully your struggles, some of the difficult times in your life.
I mentioned my working holiday experience in your homeland in Australia. So, as an Australian, which part of that chapter stood out to you the most?
I love the bit where you went for the job, put your resume in, and then what were you wearing, like thongs or like did you run home and like change your shoes? I laughed a lot. I always like have enjoyed like at that time it must have been very extreme for you, like the cultural differences and all the different types of people and the language difference. Like I think it must have been very cool at that time, but I think if I had been watching you, I would have been like so interesting and so entertaining.
Oh my god,
I feel like I could
why you guys use a lot of slangs? Brekkie? What's brekkie?
Yeah, I can't imagine how that was.
Oh my
But
god. Abu, yeah. So many. It was tough, but I really enjoyed my time there because that was my first time to live in a foreign country with a different culture, different language. Of course, in South Korea has a lot of differences, but Australia was also the other level of struggling that I had to take on responsibility. But I really enjoyed it because I met a lot of people who have different backgrounds, different cultural aspects. So I gained a lot of knowledges about other countries and differences as well. And then from the knowledges I gained in Australia, I finally come up that idea. The difference is the thing that we have to cherish for. That's what I learned in Australia. Because in South Korea, it's a homogeneous society. We don't have many races here. We don't have many nationalities. So we don't cherish for differences. But in Australia, a lot of people with a different backgrounds. You guys are normal for that. My next question is, what was the most impactful or memorable part of my book for you?
I think there was a few. there was the part where you went back to your grandma, your Halma.
Halma.
Yeah, Halma, yes. I remember now. Halma. And I think I'm just listing like all the parts that I cried, maybe. Like impact. I think I mentioned before, like we're the same age, we're born in a year. And so reading your book, that was when like he was 10 and I was 10 as well. And so I think about like the parallel lives that we're living, like, oh, when I was 10, I was like nerdy or like in primary school and like, just like simple things. And I think it kind of made it really tangible and really real because it's like not just a story, this was happening in like real time. And it was, I think that kind of makes it sobering. It kind of makes you think there are people right now living parallel lives to us in North Korea. And what are they doing right now? What are they struggling with? Or what are they eating? What are they thinking? What are they doing? Like, what are they planning? And that's right now as well.
After reading my book, did my story make you reflect on what freedom means in your own life today?
Yeah, definitely. I think it really made me think about how freedom is like double-edged sword. On the one hand, so precious to have choices and to be able to express ourselves. It's what makes us human and what makes us individual.
That was my main purpose of writing the book. I wanted to deliver the value of freedom that most of people think it's guaranteed. For me, at the age of 21, I had to risk my life to have this freedom. And unless you care about the freedom, unless you take responsibility, the freedom you have right now might be disappeared just one day. If you had to describe this book, The Courage to Die, in one sentence to someone in Australia, what would you say?
I think I said this in my Amazon review, is that this book is for everyone. It might seem like one person's story, but I think it's a very human story, and I think it really captures some of the really true things about humanity. It is a really remarkable story, and it is really a great read.
Yes. Okay, I'm so happy that my message reached your heart. So my last question, Jessie, maybe someday we are allowed to enter North Korea together, you and me, and I introduced you to my hometown friends in Wonsan as my hey 호주놈, like Australian bastard, because we learn American bastards, so I'm gonna say Australian bastard 호주놈. It's my 딱 친구, means best friend. So what would you be the first thing you want to do with them, with my friends?
Well, I thought about it, and I think this kind of comes from your book as well. I think it would be nice to like have maybe they teach me how to like some North Korean food, and then I could tell them how to cook some Hoju food, and then we could eat together. I think food is really like the language of love.
And then let's bring some Vegemite.
Yes, let's bring some Vegemite and some toast.
Show them how to eat.
Yeah. What is this? You poisoned us.
I like Vegemite. It's delicious. It's very happy when we think about the moment that we could go to, my hometown as a free. Yeah, and then introduce like it's bubbly feeling in my heart now. Yeah, my hometown is so beautiful. It's like Brisbane. So one day I would love to bring you. Real change doesn't begin with the politics. It begins with the people. It begins with the conversation, like what we do. It begins with the courage. So, and sometimes it begins, like a small room. We just met as a student, as a volunteer teacher, and then we became friends. And when I shared my story, it became very personal to you. And then you care about more about the freedom and human rights of North Korea. So I can say, the change doesn't come from politics all the time. It just comes from conversation and comes from connection like us. So thank you, Jessika, so much for sharing your thoughts and insights today, and really, really appreciate it. And so happy to see you here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was really a pleasure to share our people about you.